Hey everybody, it's me, Timmy Flyers Guy, and welcome to another edition of Timmy's Nostalgia Showcase. I'm your host, Timmy Flyers Guy. In my last episode, I talked about the 16-bit Sega Genesis. In today's episode, I'm going from 16-bit to 32-bit when I talk about the Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was an innovative Sega gaming system. It's released, the later Saturn was released. Was kind of, not the right way to go about releasing the system, considering that the Sega Genesis still had 2 years left in its lifespan. A few more years left in its lifespan. And the fact that they just released the 32X the year before that. Sega Saturn came to the U.S. in early 1995. The system was released in the fall of 1995, along with the release of the PlayStation, which was their competitor. The Sega Saturn had a lot of innovative commercials. One commercial in particular was a commercial that was set in an airport where it showed people playing virtual flavor on the Sega Saturn. My experience with the Sega Saturn started in May of 96. In May of 1996. It might have been April of 96. I'm not quite sure, but one of those months in 96. I was asking my parents for a Sega Saturn that year. And I still had my Sega Genesis. But I wanted to try out. I wanted to get the Sega Saturn. So one day, I think it was around, I think it was on a Friday in May or April that I got my hands on the Sega Saturn. And when I got the system that year, I remember my dad and my brother brought the system home to the house. They wanted to pick it up at, I think, Funko Land, yeah. And they brought it home, and it came with the game. Now, I didn't get the Saturn with the sampler disc. I got the Saturn that had the package title, Virtual Flavor. And I enjoyed playing that game, because I recall playing it in the arcades, but I never played the home part of it. And so I had a lot of fun playing Virtual Flavor. At the time, I was renting games for the system, and a couple of games I rented were X-Men Children of the Atom, which is the superior version of that game, the PS1 version. Not so good. I remember renting Street Fighter Alpha on the Sega Saturn. That game was pretty awesome as well. Not only that, I remember renting Virtual Cop for the Sega Saturn. I rented the game, and when you rent the game, you have to rent the gun that was that you plugged into the Saturn. And that game was really fun. The graphics were great. The gameplay was fun. And I just enjoyed that game. That was a fun game. A couple other games that I traded. I got a few Saturn games at the time. I bought a few of the games, and the two games that I got were the game Bug and a Stall. Well, a Stall was a very unique side-scrolling platforming game. It had very unique elements. It had animated like FMV sequences, and it was just a very fun game. A very hard game to play, but graphically, the game was amazing. Another game I played was Virtual Fighter 2, and the hit racing game Daytona USA. I also rented games such as Defcon 5, which was a first-person shooter game. That game was pretty cool, and also Virtual Fighter 2 was a great game. That's why I enjoyed that one. And I remember renting a game called Gex. Enter Gex. A game called Gex for the Sega Saturn. And also the Sega Saturn for World Combat 2. Around this time, unfortunately, I didn't really have a long time with my Sega Saturn. And my Sega Saturn unfortunately broke. And I was without a Sega Saturn. And I know this is going to be a short story about the Saturn, but in a way I had fun with the Sega Saturn, even though it was for a short couple of months, up to June, like a couple of 3 months with the system. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, Sega Saturn got a bad rap from people. The problem with the Sega Saturn did really well in Japan, but when it came to the U.S., the Sega Saturn did not do so good in the U.S. But the thing about the Saturn, even though it didn't do so well, there was still a lot of people that loved the system. And the reason a lot of people love the system so much is the fact that you were able to importing games for an American Sega Saturn became a hobby of many Sega Saturn fans. There were a lot of games that came out years after this. In late '96, a game called Nights into Dreams made its debut on Saturn. I never played that game, but I saw screenshots of it, and the game looked pretty good. Another reason Saturn found in the United States is they did not have a Sonic game. They did not have a good Sonic game for the Sega Saturn. And Sonic was the most important mascot of Sega, and that was another reason the Saturn didn't do well in the US. In Japan, the system had a cult following. There was commercials. The commercial campaign. Their mascot in Japan was Seita Senshiro, a karate master that loved to play Sega Saturn. I really think that Japan marketed the system better than the US ever could. Many years later, the Saturn got games like Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, and one of the best beat 'em ups. The best beat 'em ups, Guardian Heroes for the Sega Saturn. And let's not forget, a lot of people enjoyed importing games like X-Men versus Street Fighter and Street Fighter Alpha 3. Alpha 2 was also released on the Saturn. So the Saturn also had great sports games, such as All-Star Hockey 97, 96, All-Star Hockey 97, and All-Star Hockey 98 as well. Despite Saturn's slow sales in the US, a lot of people still buy Sega Saturns today, mostly to import great Japanese titles of the American Sega Saturn. Unfortunately, the Saturn's lifespan would end in 1998 to make room for a new gaming system, and that gaming system would be the Sega Dreamcast. I am going to do a video about the Sega Dreamcast, but before I do that, in my next episode, I'm going to be talking about another 32-bit gaming system, and that system would be the PlayStation. Guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next episode of Timmy's Nostalgic Showcase. In my next episode, I'm going to be talking about my experience with the PlayStation. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with some commercials, with some Sega Saturn commercials. Guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next.
We are 5 years away from entering the 21st century. Humankind stands on the edge of the interactive age. You have come a long way. But are you ready for the future?
Introducing Sega Saturn. Aww. Hit it! Sega's next-generation gaming platform, revolutionary sports and arcade gameplay, all with amazing new 3D experiences never before possible on home game systems. Wow.
Sega Saturn. It's how you play the game.
What's happening?
Sega
Saturn!
Go farther than you have ever gone before. Sega Saturn. Play your games in the 21st century and leave the rest of the world behind.
Welcome to the theater of the eye. 500,000 polygons a second. 16 million colors. Wreak some havoc in your head.
Sega Saturn.
Welcome to the theater of the eye. Real sports.
Keep it down a little.
Real fast.
Optic nerve here. I am gonna need some help.
Real painful.
Sega Saturn.
Viper Theater. Fighting Vipers, the ultimate fighting game, only on Sega Saturn.
There are lots of good reasons to go with Sega Saturn instead of Pretendo. We call them games. Sega Saturn has tons of them. Pretendo has just a few. It does beg the question, do you want to play or twiddle your thumbs? Face it, Pretendo, you weren't worth waiting for. Let's compare Sega Saturn's games to games on Plaything. Sega has a long history of creating true arcade games. Plaything's maker has no such history. Sega Saturn gives you arcade graphics and gameplay that could only come from the power of 3 processors. Plaything has only one processor. Sorry, Plaything, you're not worthy.
I repeat, stay in your homes. Sonic 3D Blast has hit the mainland. The blue storm is moving unpredictably, spinning, smashing, gaining power as he tears along. If you should see an eerie gyration of light, move away. You may be witnessing the Blast Attack, a force as cunning as it is destructive. Sonic 3D Blast is coming.
New Sonic 3D Blast for Sega Saturn and Sega Genesis.
Stay in your home.
There's never been a game like Sega Saturn's Nights. Never been a game that's allowed you to fly, fluid and free, in real-time 3D. Never, not anywhere. But especially not on that other system. Simply because, with only one processor, it doesn't have the power to do it. Fly, plaything, fly. You're not ready.
Sega!
Who gives you raging arcade gameplay?
Sega!
Who gives you the most authentic sports games?
Sega!
Who gives you a game that lets you fly?
Sega!
And who gives you access to the internet on your TV?
Sega!
Play games, surf the net, only on Sega Saturn.
Sega!
Reload! Reload!
Only $2.99.
People, this is not a test. We are at DEFCON 5. Alpha Sector. Check. Tango Sector. Check. Delta Sector.
Only Sega Saturn has 3 32-bit processors.
Delta Sector.
3 processors mean better gameplay.
Delta Sector, you hear me?
Sony PlayStation only has 1.
3, 2, 1.
When you've got Sega Saturn, nothing else matters.
Sega!
You could build a mansion with the bricks you're throwing.
I got mad skills, bro. Straight butter, baby. I'll be going to the fat farm.
I seen your game on a milk carton.
It hurts to be so good.
NBA Action 98 on Saturn and PC. Sega. Hard stuff.
Hey, buddy. You okay?
NHL All-Star Hockey 98. Sega. Hard stuff.
Unit 7, do not attempt to enter premises. Wait for backup. Do you copy Unit 7? Unit 7?
Sonic R. Sega. Hard stuff.